In the second of the hatch tutorials, we looked at how we can use the automatic tools to create very quickly, very easily, hatching over a whole figure, say taking in a lot of different or separate compartments within the hatch without having to hatch each one individually. So let's take a look at the same thing again. So we'll choose the inside hatch tool and then locate our point so it will track vertically down, find the line, and then onto hatch the shape. It traces around and goes around the whole shape, filling in the area inside. So having hatched our shape, we may now be in a position where we didn't actually want all of it hatched, but it was much quicker to hatch the whole thing, but we then have islands to take out, which we could of course use the island tool to remove. We could pick island and even go to add by inside trace here, so we could pick our hatching and then we could point inside an area and it will take out the hatching as we see. Okay, but that's doing it retrospectively. Now we may want to do it all in one straight hit, so let's just press escape. We'll select our hatching and choose the auto command. Now this gives us the ability to choose different methods of tracing. Endpoints will allow me to select a line and then tell it a direction and it will trace around. Inside will do what we were doing with the inside trace, although there's one difference here, is that we can add islands at the same time. So if we go for closed object, then that deals with things like ellipses, polygons, closed polygons for instance, closed polylines, dopey. If we go for closed objects, then we can go, if we go for closed object, we can hatch ellipses and polylines for instance. But here we're going to choose inside. So again it says indicate the inside area to hatch, so we can point above the total, then we can effectively punch holes in our hatch as we see fit, literally by pointing on the hatch. So here we'll take a look at how we can use the other options within our auto tool. So auto, that's our automatic hatching, and if we say closed object, now these are polylines, so if we just pick the object, it will hatch it in its entirety. So if we just look at the object there, you can see that that is actually a polyline rather than individual lines. We can also use this fact to hatch things like ellipses. So closed object, I can pick the ellipse and you'll see it will hatch the ellipse. So if I just move that one away for instance, move it away, it's hatched the whole ellipse object. Okay. And then just to recap with our other option there, endpoint, what I've done here is I've taken the polyline and just exploded it into individual lines, but notice that it now doesn't join up. Something that can be a source of endless frustration when hatching is that you can't get areas to track automatically, especially when you're dealing with somebody else's drawing, so you've had no control over the actual creation of the drawing. So it might have been drawn well, it may have been drawn maybe not so well. So let's have a look at what we can do with the auto. If we choose inside, then nothing will happen, it won't be able to trace that. It's not a closed object either, but if we choose the endpoint and then pick our element there, choose the direction we want to trace, Caddie will come up and say that it's actually found that the trace is open. Now if we say no, then it will just abort it, but if we say yes, it will actually join up between the last point and the first point on our trace, so allowing us the facility to hatch things without having to go and point on every single node that we want on there. Okay, so that's a little introduction there. We'll take a look in the next exercise at using these skills here in a practical way.